Welcome to the Ark of Grace Harbor's annual Disability Awareness virtual event. Hi, I'm Christy Childs with the Ark of Grace Harbor. Welcome to our annual Disability Awareness virtual event. So I wanted to start us off with a video that I think is really special. These are all folks, self-advocates in Washington State. And I think their message is really important.
I'm an actress and a singer.
I am an artist.
A teacher.
A college student.
A good friend.
A loving son.
I'm a grandpa.
A husband.
A wife.
I'm a brother.
Member of my church.
A dog lover.
Volunteer.
I'm a drummer.
Homecoming king. Oh no.
Very independent.
I'm a homeowner.
I'm a Seahawks fan.
I am a community organizer.
I'm a professor.
I'm a voter.
I am a strong self-advocate.
The Smithsonian.
Community relations facilitator.
A taxpayer. I am smart.
I'm just like you.
Just like you.
Just like you.
Just like you.
Just like you. Just like you.
Just like you.
Just like you.
Okay, so March is Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. In 1987, this month of awareness began with a presidential proclamation, and it has now become a national movement. It has helped the general public become more aware of how individuals live, how they see themselves, and aided everyone in learning how to help people with developmental disabilities achieve their own dreams.
Hi from Oklahoma.
Hafide from Guam.
Hello from Minnesota.
Hello everyone, my name is Gadara Booker.
My name is Forrest Bugger-Friday.
From the Utah Mountains.
From Massachusetts.
From Alabama.
From Hawaii.
We are so excited.
We are excited
to be celebrating
DD Awareness Month with all of you.
We're happy to show and share our abilities with you all.
Let's continue to work together
and
imagine a world
where everybody contribution matters.
Imagine a world that's accessible to everybody,
where we acknowledge our inherent interdependence and wholeness. One where our lived experience is centered in the work we do every day as we work to achieve an equitable and just community for everyone.
That all of God's children, regardless of their abilities, will be able to live enhanced lives.
And imagine a world of full inclusion and acceptance of all.
Let us continue to work together and to help make sure we have a world where those with disabilities can be accepted for who they are.
Where everyone is included. A world where accessibility is not just expected, but is real.
It's so important to give recognition to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and most important, to imagine a world where all of their unique gifts, talents, and experiences are represented, acknowledged, accepted, and affirmed in our world.
Where everyone accepts themselves, stands in their power, and knows that they can change the world.
Where they said we couldn't, we did. Where barriers that were there in place are not there anymore, from preventing us from becoming our best selves.
Let's continue to work together and imagine an inclusive world
where everyone has access to services they need to live a happy and self-determined life.
Today, I'm serving 23 years on my own in my house. Let's continue working together and imagine the world where everyone is abundant like me.
So happy Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month.
Happy Developmental Disability Awareness Month.
So happy Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month to all of you from South Carolina.
Happy Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month from Oklahoma.
So happy Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month from Minnesota.
Happy Developmental Disability Month from Guam.
So happy Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month from Utah.
From Massachusetts.
From the great state of Alabama. Roll Tide.
From New York.
From New Jersey.
So happy DD Awareness Month all the way from Hawaii. Mahalo.
Okay, so how many people have an intellectual or developmental disability? Approximately 1.58% of the general population, is estimated to have an intellectual and/or developmental disability. In Washington state, that means that about 120,000 children and adults may have this diagnosis. The majority of people with developmental disabilities now live with their families or in their own homes with support to be as independent as possible. As a result of these changing values and with the support of state and federal government funding and policies, children with developmental disabilities participate in school, adults with developmental disabilities become employed and pay taxes, and our diverse communities benefit. Unlike the old days of defining people by what's wrong with them, community advocacy is based on the fundamental belief that having a disability is a normal part of life. These are not the opinions of a few groups. They're the values of a state and nation moving forward. So now we're going to learn a little bit about disability etiquette from the ADA.
Hi there. Did you know that there are 56.7 million people with a disability in the United States? That's 1 out of every 4 people, making up the largest minority group in the United States. Learning respectful ways to interact with people with disabilities is a great way to ensure people can fully be a part of our communities. People with disabilities are individuals, and everyone is different. The best way to know how someone wants to be treated is to simply just ask them. It is always better to ask than to make assumptions. It is fairly common for stereotypes to influence us when interacting with people with disabilities. Our culture has taught us, often incorrectly, certain assumptions about people with disabilities. The best way to combat this tendency is to see every person as an individual. Stereotypes can limit how we perceive and value people with disabilities. For example, seeing them as heroic and inspirational communicates low expectations of people with disabilities. This frames the disability as something to overcome, rather than a natural part of human life. Another example is feeling pity for people with disabilities and seeing them as victims. People with disabilities want to be treated like everyone else and be appreciated for their strengths. All situations call for flexibility, patience, creativity, and open communication. Let's go over some fundamentals of disability etiquette. Focus on individuality. Have patience. Ask, don't assume. Treat people with respect and dignity. It's important to remember that people with disabilities are individuals with families, jobs, hobbies, likes and dislikes, problems and joys. While the disability is an integral part of who they are, it alone does not define them.
Okay, so nothing about us without us is a slogan that has been adopted by the disability community to highlight the need for full and direct participation in all decisions that impact their lives. During DD Awareness Month, we want to remind everyone that people with IDD are not all the same. Intellectual and developmental disability encompasses an umbrella of disabilities. Self-advocates should be treated as individuals with their own personalities and life experiences, just like everyone else. One size does not fit all. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about people first language. At its core, person first or people first language seeks to acknowledge the inherent and equal value of every individual before attaching any other descriptors or identities the person may view as secondary or not intrinsic to them. Communicating using first-person language begins with empathy. Countless individuals from various backgrounds, races, social groups, communities, or experiences are familiar with the isolation created by a lack of person-first language. This includes people who happen to have physical, emotional, cognitive learning, or other differences. So we always want to emphasize the individual and not the disability. So here's some kind of examples of how we can do that. We want to say people with disabilities instead of saying the disabled. We want to say he or she has autism or experiences autism instead of he or she is autistic. Children We want to say children without disabilities instead of saying normal or healthy kids. We want to say they use a wheelchair, mobility chair, instead of they're confined to, is wheelchair bound. We want to say brain injury instead of brain damage. And we want to communicate, say someone communicates with their eyes, device, etc., instead of saying nonverbal. So a disability descriptor is a medical diagnosis. People first language respectfully puts the person before the disability. So to be good allies, here's a quick kind of acronym. We want to acknowledge and respect individual experiences and abilities. We want to learn about different disability types. We want to leverage our influence to promote accessibility and inclusion. And we want to yield the floor to people with disabilities to help identify and eliminate barriers. And that last one kind of goes back to nothing about us without us. We want to make sure that people with disabilities have a voice that is heard in anything that is related to them. Disability inclusion means understanding the relationship between the way people function and how they participate in society, and making sure that everybody has the same opportunities to participate in every aspect of life to the best of their abilities and desires.
People with disabilities have the right to be fully included in every aspect of society. People with disabilities are fully included. Their self-esteem builds. They start believing in themselves. People see what we have to offer. And when that happens, while contributing to our communities, everybody wins. People see that we want to have relationships, friendships, and beyond. Inclusion is a 100% a birthright. You are included the second you're born into this world.
Inclusion is a positive outlook for people with disabilities to get them to be more involved in their communities, and they have a sense of belonging and a sense of feeling good about themselves. For my own life, I've recently become more involved in my community thanks to Green Mountain Self-Advocates, and I feel a lot more included in my work life and in my spare time, and this is all thanks to self-advocacy. Inclusion is a great piece to have. Thank you.
So when we think about inclusion, we need to ensure that individuals with disabilities have the opportunity to participate in every aspect of life to the fullest extent possible. These opportunities include participation in education, employment, public health programming, community living, and service learning. Including people with disabilities in everyday activities and encouraging them to have roles similar to their peers who do not have a disability is vitally important. So here we can see a little kind of graphic, and we see that the different colored dots are representative of people with disabilities, and the green colored dots are representative of people who do not have disabilities. And so when we have exclusion, we have all of the people with a disability on the outside of the circle. When we have segregation, we have people who experience disabilities in a completely separate circle from others. When we have integration, we still have people with disabilities separated. We've included them as part of the larger circle, sort of, but not really. With inclusion, everybody is a part of the same circle. And that's the goal. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the Arc of Grays Harbor. Our mission as a nonprofit organization is to advocate for and support a better quality of life for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The Arc is a lifespan agency. We serve individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families throughout their lifetimes. We offer programs, resources, and services for all ages. We partner with people to advocate for the right to live with the independence they desire, one community, one family, one person at a time. People with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families need varying levels of supports and services throughout their lives. Our service resources are developed to meet those needs by providing sufficient support and advocacy while also promoting autonomy and independence. The ARC of Grace Harbor provides community engagement services for clients who are on an approved DDA or Developmental Disabilities Administration waiver. Community engagement provides community access and prevents isolation. Participants engage in a variety of community-based opportunities to grow their social network and knowledge. They work one-on-one with a community guide to meet their person-centered plan goals. The ARC provides information about the services that are available for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families, as well as referrals to other agencies. Our information and referral services are available by phone, email, in person, and through our website. We also hold yearly educational workshops on a variety of topics. Information and registration can be found on our website. So our topics include guardianship and other alternatives, IEP and 504 plans, ABLE and developmental disabilities trust accounts, navigating the system, supported employment, and benefit analysis. Another program we have is Parent to Parent for Grays Harbor and Pacific County. Our Parent to Parent programs offer monthly parent support groups, monthly family fun nights, educational workshops and trainings for parents, helping parent matches, a monthly email newsletter, and information referral services for parents and families. The ARC can assist individuals and families with applications for SSI, Social Security, and DDA, or Developmental Disabilities Administration services. We are now partnering with Social Security and have access to a local Social Security liaison to help with new applications for children and adults. We're not affiliated with Social Security or the Developmental Disabilities Administration and cannot track applications, provide information on status or denials, or make sure the family is approved for services. The applications that we can help with are the same applications available to families online. The ARC offers community liaison services for families who have a child on an IEP or 504 plan that are looking for more resources in the community for their child. This program particularly helps students who are in transition from high school to adult life and have questions about what resources and services are available to them. The ARC has two social clubs that meet monthly, the Weekend Club and Foodsters. The Weekend Club offers opportunities for social interaction and planned activities, including crafts, bingo, karaoke, seasonal activities, and more. Foodsters is our dish creation club. Participants work together to create a dish and then share a meal together. All ages and ability levels are welcome at both groups. Foodsters is currently on hold due to COVID, and the Weekend Club is running virtually. The ARC is part of the Grays Harbor Transition Council. The council hosts a yearly transition fair at Grays Harbor College for local students. We also have a virtual transition fair on our website that families can access at any time. We can also help families by providing resources and support as their child transitions from high school to adult life. The ARC is part of the Grays Harbor County and Pacific County SMART team, which helps local families connect with autism screenings and diagnosis locally through trained Center of Excellence providers. This helps dramatically cut down on the wait time for screenings and referrals and increases access for families that may have transportation barriers. The ARC meets with local legislators to educate them about the needs of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families. We participate in advocacy coalitions and advocacy days and help educate individuals and families on ways they can make their voice heard. Oops. The ARC employs a full-time Hispanic Latino coordinator to serve Spanish-speaking individuals and families in our community. This program provides information and education about all types of services and programs available to those with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Our goal is to make information about intellectual and developmental disability services and supports available to everyone in our community. We are here to serve. We welcome anyone to contact us with questions or concerns regarding intellectual or developmental disabilities, which include Down syndrome, autism spectrum disorder, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, cognitive disabilities, and other similar conditions which occur in one's life. Our role is to share resources and information with self-advocates, their family members, friends, community partners, and professionals. Start with the ARC. Here we have our contact information if anybody should need to get a hold of us. And I wanted to leave you with one last video before we close.
Because my parents told me I have to be responsible.
Because my first coach told me, you can do this.
Because my teacher helped me see the choices.
Because my coach treated me like everybody else.
Because my boss showed me how to do a good job.
Because a mentor believed in my potential.
Is why I am where I am today.
I'm swimming faster than I ever dreamed I could.
I discovered that I could work as an artist.
I led my high school team to 2 championships.
I am a valuable employee.
I have a career that I am passionate about.
I will be whatever I want to be.
What can you do?
What can you do?